Well, a warm welcome to this talk. It's Wednesday, the 26th of April. Now, I'm going to be sharing some pretty information today about errors that have been made, partly by me and partly, as we'll see, by others. Now, let me just give you the gist of this, because it'd be good if you stay around to watch this. So this was a video I made about freedom of information request, about figures of perinatal peri-birth health, and this one was looking at miscarriages, for example. That freedom of information request, 21st of April. My video was made on the 25th of April. It was actually made just before I went to bed on the 24th, so it was just after midnight. That's why I put the 25th on it. And lo and behold, on the 25th of April, the figures have been changed and revised down very significantly, which of course is remarkably good news for the people of Lanarkshire, who don't have anything like as much miscarriages as we thought they had. Now let's look at another error that's been made here. This was an error made by me yesterday, stillbirths and miscarriages in the UK 2022. This was from a Freedom of Information request from the 16th of December. Now, this says there were 2,597 stillbirths in 2021 in the UK, an increase of 226 from 2020. And I said that was an increase of 8.7% between 2020 and 21. It's not, it's 9.53%. So apologies for my mathematical error. So what we see, unfortunately, is in the UK as a whole, from this Office for National Statistics Freedom of Information request, that we have a 9.53 increase in stillbirths and miscarriages between 2020 and 2021. That's unambiguous from the ONS. Now, I'm delighted to tell you that Lanarkshire, where the Freedom of Information requests come from, seems to be an exception. So let's look at this. Now, this is the original Lancashire Freedom of Information request that we looked at, dated the 21st of April, which was this one. And of course, we have the whole letter here. We looked at it in some detail. Now, I have redacted the person that sent the information request, Freedom of Information request, purely out of politeness. I haven't got his or her permission to share the name. I know who it is. It's just that I didn't have permission. Now, early pregnancy loss 2022 is the data from the Freedom of Information request in Lanarkshire. On the 21st of April Freedom of Information request, official release document, it was 2065. It now turns out this figure was wrong, and it's actually 982. So it turns out this is wrong. This has now been corrected. As we said, corrected on this latest response here. And again, I've given you the links for these. The letter said, "I regret to advise you I am unable to provide details of COVID vaccination status." So despite the reduction, we still haven't got any details of the COVID vaccination status for 2021 and 22, as this information is not centrally recorded. So we got the numbers, but they made it clear they couldn't correlate. They didn't have numbers on COVID vaccination. But great to see that number is down, and down quite significantly. So that was the 21st information. My video was released just after midnight on the 25th of April, and literally a few hours later they managed to revise that document. And here's the corrected Lanarkshire Freedom of Information request link, produced later on the 25th of April. Someone moved pretty quick by the looks of it. And here's the corrected version. And we're delighted to see that the numbers are way down of early pregnancy losses. They had been alarmingly high, apparently. It appeared that they had in actual fact pretty well doubled from 2018 up to 2065. But it now turns out that this is wrong, and this is now the correct number, 982. So in actual fact, we see that there's quite a big reduction in Lanarkshire area. As we say, inconsistent with the rest of the United Kingdom, but very good news for the people of Lanarkshire. Now, what I flashed up there was this has happened before. Let's just have a quick look of a video that I produced on, I think it was the 7th of January. Welcome to this talk. It's Saturday the 7th of January. Now, yesterday we gave some data from Swindon hospitals about the rate of inflammatory heart disease through 2019 to 2022. Just have a quick look at that data before we discuss it further, because what's happened here is about 12 hours after I put the video up, and the video was well viewed, it had about 500,000 views. Who knows, it mightn't even been seen by government officials, we don't know. But about 12 hours after the video went up, Sean, who sent in the original Freedom of Information request, was sent an update pointing out that this original data was in fact wrong and supplying us with the new data. So I'm going to be giving you the new data today. Here's the letter from Sean that we'll be looking at in a minute, or to Sean rather, indicating the error. Okay, that's quite enough from him. But it's interesting that this has happened before. Let's look at that specific example now. This was from the Swindon myocarditis data, and we have that here. Swindon myocarditis data. Now, my now removed video of the 6th of January showed increases of inflammatory heart disease. Now, the reason I removed this video is I was getting so much feedback from various sources about this data that was incorrect. And because there was a new Freedom of Information request that updated the data, I thought that data was incorrect and removed the video. But here's the data that was on the video, and it showed myocarditis and pericarditis, basically many multiples of what it was. So, for example, 2021 cases have gone up from 3,486 in 2019 up to 18,000, so many multiples. And then it carried on increasing. But then after my video, as we've just seen on that clip, within about 12 hours of that video going up, this happened. This was declared to be incorrect. And a corrected version was issued on the 6th of January 2023. As we say, so my video was on the 6th of January. And the correction also went out on the 6th of January, about, as far as I remember, 12 hours later. Now here's the so that was they were the numbers that were removed, and here's the numbers that were stated as corrected. So we actually see that myocarditis and pericarditis, inflammatory heart disease, 2019 83 cases. So 2019 83 cases, yeah, fair enough, 83 there, up to 94 2020, 2021 86, and 2022 81. So basically we don't see any increase during the period of the pandemic. Now, this is, while I'm delighted for the people of Swindon, this is a little surprising, because we know that COVID can cause inflammatory heart disease, but not in the Swindon area, it would appear, in the Swindon Hospital catchment area. So I'm delighted for the people of Swindon, just as I'm delighted there was less early pregnancy losses in Lanarkshire. But we do see a dramatic change in the data sets. Now, well, very dramatic in that case, but it turns out that one was a clerical error, basically. So the Sean, who put in this Freedom of Information request, got this back from the data providers. Further to our response to this request, which was provided on the 30th of November 2022, an error has been found in the figures that were originally provided in relation to ED department attendances for myocarditis and pericarditis. This was a formula error that occurred during the process of simplifying the data into a pivot table. Presumably that's a pivot table. So there we have it. Dramatically less, thankfully dramatically less early pregnancy losses. We had originally been told it was 2,065. It's been revised down to 982. My question is, given that both of these errors were corrected within hours of my videos, is that, it could just be probability, of course, a temporal correlation, but does it take some publicity for people to realise that there are errors? weren't these freedom of information requests in Lanarkshire and Swindon checked by a relatively, not necessarily a senior official, but a competent officer, because basic mistakes were made that were subsequently corrected? Strange that the actual early pregnancy, the number of miscarriages actually was lower than the average lower than the national average, I believe, and certainly lower than the previous years in the Lanarkshire area. So that's good. And also strange that the myocarditis was less in Swindon than you would expect during a pandemic, which can cause inflammatory heart disease as a side effect. But we have to accept the data as given, so they are the corrections. So in this video, we've made 3 corrections. We've corrected up my inaccurate estimate about the stillbirths and miscarriages in the UK. It was 9.53% increase from 2020 to 2021, not 8.7 as I said. And the Lanarkshire information releases appeared to get it wrong. I just noticed after my video. And the Swindon data releases, first release was wrong. Again, they just seem to happen to notice after my video, but it could be complete coincidence. But there you go. 2 coincidences and 1 error on my part. When I reported the Freedom of Information request data on Swindon and Lanarkshire, it was accurate at the time. But of course, if it's wrong, we'll come back and correct it, as we endeavour to do. So I'll leave that with you. Looking like less myocarditis and pericarditis in Swindon, and looking like less miscarriages in Lanarkshire than we had feared. So good news in that respect. Surprising that it's less than the national average, but good for those areas. And let's hope for future Freedom of Information requests they don't need videos to get it right first time, that they're checked by a relatively more senior and competent officer. Thank you for watching.